bring us up to date with the latest polling. Where have we got to on that?
Yes, Anna, and we have a whole string of polls that we've seen over the past 24 hours. One in particular, the SPD polling 27%. That is a huge lead on the CDU. Another one putting the SPD at 23% and a third one putting it at 25%. Now, overall, when you take a 360 view on this, you see that on average, the SPD is now leading by 5 points. This isn't about a tight race. This is about a firm lead going forward. And it really kind of goes back to that conversation that we had yesterday with Mr. Merz, where he said the point is we're tracking these polls, but the campaign is going to start now. We are going to campaign hard, and that is being reflected in the language coming out of the CDU, where they're essentially really saying this is going to be a radical government if Olaf Scholz gets into power. This is becoming much more on the attack, much more personal, and with some pretty tough language in which he says, let's be very clear, this is a left to the left coalition. This will be a radical government, and we're going to see taxes go up. That is a fear factor. That is a fear card. Whether or not it translates with voters, it still remains to be seen. And if you look at the polls, it does seem that until now, that strategy is not really working for the CDU. The Germans are not buying that.
Good morning, Maria. And in terms of stepping up the rhetoric, Merkel's CDU is really playing up the fear of this so-called red-red-green coalition, that the far left will join in a coalition with the SPD and the Greens because they'll need those kind of seats. Is that threat actually seem like a viable one? Is that kind of working to sway people, or does it seem like going too far?
Well, Mark, when you look at the many coalitions that will come out from this election, we know that this will be, in most scenarios, a three-party coalition, and it will require not just the Greens, that is a fact, but also a new force that would join in. Now, to say that it's inevitable to have Die Linke, that is the left-to-the-left party that Mr. Merz was referring to, join in that government, it's not a given, it's a possibility, but it doesn't mean that it will happen. And in fact, the sense in Germany is that the real kingmaker going forward will be the FDP. That is Christian Lindner, who will be speaking with him tomorrow in a Bloomberg webinar. So it does not mean that a Scholz win is a radical to the left, or that is almost the only option going forward. There's many scenarios that would open up. And in fact, the focus, as I said, is very much on the FDP, whether or not the Liberals will decide to join in a government with the Greens and Olaf Scholz leading the SPD.